Ethical sourcing is a process of ensuring the products being sourced are obtained in a responsible and sustainable way, that the workers involved in making them are safe and treated fairly, and that the environmental and social impacts are taken into consideration during the sourcing process. These total sourcing solutions help reduce long-term costs by allowing company to access environmentally friendly materials. And to get ethically sourced materials and products from local vendors, this will reduce shipping and transportation costs and stabilize the chain of supply within the business. In the restaurant point of view, practice of responsible sourcing throughout supply chain ensures that the customers get great quality, high welfare, and sustainable food on their plates. And for the tourism industry, it relies on the natural and cultural resources that attract tourists and act as the main driver of growth and development in the tourism economy. A pleasant day to all of you. Our discussion for today is about ethical and sustainable sourcing. For the global economic recession, so as we all know, the crash in international tourism due to COVID or coronavirus pandemic could cause a loss of more than $4 trillion to the global gross domestic product for the years 2020 and 2021, according to United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. That's why the hospitality industry, even though it's one of the most dynamic sectors in the world, it places its customers at the heart of its operations and works to deliver the best experience possible, but with changing times and changing demands of the new age travelers. The international hospitality industry is anything but kind. For a very long time, there was next to no innovation in this field. But the arrival of technology fueled on-demand economy has dramatically changed that Airbnb appearance on the scene was an indicator of this change, along with the rise of boutique hotels. And then soon even traditional restaurant chains began experimenting, growing, acquiring, and by consequence, innovating intensely. So that's part of strategic sourcing. Strategic sourcing is the management or managing the firm's external resources in ways that support the long-term goals of the firm. It also includes trends in corporate downsizing, building a competitive advantage, and development of successful and sustainable strategy. When we say ethical sourcing, this is the process of ensuring the products being sourced are obtained in a responsible and sustainable way, that the workers involved in making them are safe and treated fairly, and that environmental and social impacts are taken into consideration during the sourcing process. So by definition, when we say business ethics, it is the application of ethical principles to business situations, and also called as corporate social responsibility, or as refers to standards for morally right and wrong conduct in business. So in law, it partially defines the conduct, but legal and ethical aren't necessarily the same. Business ethics enhances the law by outlining acceptance behaviors beyond government control. There are two approaches under business ethics. We have the utilitarianism and rights and duties. So when we say utilitarianism, it is ethical act creates the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And for the right of duty states that the some actions are right in themselves without regard for the consequences. So let's go back to utilitarianism. So utilitarianism holds the most ethical choice is the one that will provide or produce the greatest good for the greatest number. So the core idea of utilitarianism is that an action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in a society or group. And for an instance in the workplace, the idea of this concept is if you conduct yourself properly at work, Then you will be able to achieve professional happiness by making morally correct decisions, and your happiness will increase. And then, however, if you choose to do something morally wrong, even though it may be legal, your happiness will decrease. Utilitarianism also creates a black and white of what is morally correct. In the world of someone who uses utilitarian ethics, there are no shades of gray. Either something is wrong or something is right. So at work, utilitarianism is displayed by working to make sure that the workplace is a positive environment for your coworkers to be in, and then make it so for yourself. One example of utilitarianism in business is the practice of having tiers or tiered pricing for a product or service to different types of customers. So for example, the airline industry, they offer first class business or first class, business class, and economy class seats on many of their airplanes. For the rights and duties, so duties are a direct result of the acceptance of rights. So each person has a duty to uphold or respect one or another person's rights, just as he has the duty to uphold rights. Once a person accepts as a right, or is it told as in legal rights, he must uphold the right for himself and others. So another example for the utilitarianism, so the first approach for business ethics. So customers who fly in first or business class pay a much higher rate than those in economy seats. So this is connection with the airline industry that offers first class business or first class, business class, and economy class seats on many of the airplanes. So as the customers who fly in first or business class pay a much higher rate than those in economy seats, but they also get more amenities. So however, the higher the prices paid for the business or first class seats help to ease the airline's financial burden created by making room for economy class seats. So this would be an example of rule in utilitarianism. So we have this Ethical Trading Initiative-based code, or the ETI. So first, employees or employment is freely chosen. For this, no forced, bonded, or involuntary prison, workers are not required to lodge deposits with their employer and are free to leave after reasonable notice. The second ETI is the freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining. So workers have the right to join trade unions and to bargain collectively, and employers adopt an open attitude toward the activities of trade unions. Worker representatives are not discriminated against, and where the right to collective bargaining is restricted under the law, employer facilitates the development of parallel means for bargaining. Third is working conditions are safe and hygienic. Also, this is very important in today's current event that we are experiencing the pandemic. So a safe and hygienic work environment shall be provided. Adequate steps shall be taken to minimize the causes of hazards in the workplace. Workers shall receive regular and recorded health and safety training. Access to clean toilet facilities and sanitary facilities for food storage shall be provided, as well as accommodation shall be clean, safe, and meet the basic needs of workers. The company shall assign responsibility for health and safety to a senior management representative. So now we add the protective equipment or the personal protective equipment for the employees as they go inside their workplace. Next is child labor shall not be used. So there shall be no recruitment of child labor. Persons under 18 shall not be employed at night or in hazardous conditions. So policies and procedures shall conform to the provisions of the relevant international labor organization standards. Next is living wages or paid wages and benefits for a standard work, meet national legal or industry standards, whichever is higher. So wages should be enough to meet the basic needs of the workers. So all the workers shall be provided with written and understandable information about their employment conditions before they enter employment and about the particulars of their wages each time they are being paid. And deductions from wages as a disciplinary measure shall not be permitted. Working hours are not excessive. So working hours comply with national laws and benchmark industry standards, whichever affords greater protection. So workers shall not on a regular basis be required to work in excess of 48 hours per week and shall be provided with at least 1 day off for every 7-day period, and overtime shall be voluntary and shall not exceed 12 hours per week and shall always be compensated at a premium rate. Next is no discrimination is practiced. So there is no discrimination in hiring, compensation, access to training, promotion, termination, or retirement based on race, caste, national origin, religion, age, disability, gender, marital status, sexual orientation, union membership, or political affiliation. Next is regular employment is provided. So work performed must be on the basis of recognized employment relationships established through the national law and practice. So obligations to employees under labor or social security laws shall not be avoided through the use of labor-only contracting, subcontracting, or through apprenticeship schemes where there is no intent to impart the skills. And lastly, no harsh or inhumane treatment is allowed. So physical abuse or discipline, the threat or physical abuse, sexual or harassment, or other forms of intimidation shall be prohibited. Green purchasing, this is about making environmentally conscious decisions throughout the purchasing process. So beginning with product and process design and through product disposal. So this is according to Institute for Supply Management. And when we say sustainability, this includes green purchasing as well as some aspects of social responsibility and financial performance. And this is also the ability to meet the needs of current supply chain members without hindering the ability to meet the needs of the future generations in terms of economic, environmental, and social changes. Practicing sustainability in hospitality comes with many benefits. So aside from attracting more customers and responding responsibly to what many consider a moral imperative, in light of the current climate crisis, sustainable initiatives offer hospitality businesses incentives. So the hospitality industry must ensure it works in harmony with the environment and is mindful of its social and economic impact by not over-consuming the resources, working to conserve biodiversity, not polluting and respecting local communities and workers. In doing so, the industry protects its very existence. Fair trade is one manufactured or grown by a disadvantaged producer in a developing country that receives a fair price for their goods. So fair trade is also a set of business practices that voluntarily adopted by the producers and buyers of agricultural commodities and handmade crafts that are designed to advance many economic, social, and environmental goals. And this includes promoting safe and sustainable farming methods and working conditions. Also in sustainable sourcing, we have green purchasing. And this is a purchasing practice that is aimed at ensuring that purchased products or materials meet the environmental objectives of the organization, such as waste reduction, hazardous material elimination, recycling, remanufacturing, and material reuse. This is also called as the environmentally preferable purchasing, or EPP. And this is referred to the procurement of products and services that have a lesser or reduced effect on human health and the environment when compared with competing or services or competing products or services that serve with the same purpose. So buying green products and services can also increase the organization's efficiency and enhance its public image, and is an excellent way to reduce operations impacts on the environment. And the specific benefits include financial savings, positive public relations, improvement of employees' health, and environmental and climate protection benefits. Sustainable sourcing is one of the activity within the larger umbrella that is term of sustainability, and it includes green purchasing, some of financial benefits, as well as aspects of ethical sourcing. So very simply, it has been defined as a process of purchasing goods and services that takes into account the long-term impact on people, profits, and the planet. So sustainable procurement or sustainable sourcing is a process where organizations meet their needs for goods, services, works, and utilities in a way that achieves value for money on a life cycle basis while addressing equity, principles for sustainable development, therefore benefiting societies and the environment across time and geographies. So when we say procurement, this is often conducted via a tendering or competitive bidding process. So the process is used to ensure the buyers receive goods, services, or works for the best possible price when aspects such as the quality, the quantity, the time, and locations are compared. So procurement is also considered as sustainable when organizations broaden this framework by meeting their needs for goods, services, works, and utilities in a way that this achieves value for money and promotes positive outcomes, not only for the organization itself, but for the economy, environment, and society. We have here the supply chain ethical and sustainable sourcing strategy framework. So number one is establish corporate ethical and sustainable sourcing policies. So this verifies top management support, establishes a vision and direction that enforces the importance of ethical and sustainable sourcing, and reduces confusion. So number two, train purchasing staff, implement policies among users and suppliers, and this will ensure that the buyers are skilled in environmental and social considerations in sourcing, and that users and suppliers understand why and how purchasing decisions are being made. Third is to prioritize items based on ethical, sustainability, opportunities, and ease of implementation. So for this allows buyers to pick low-hanging fruit to provide evidence successful strategy implementation. So also pick low-hanging fruit means that in business, this phrase is used as a metaphor to describe tasks or projects that a team or employee can easily and quickly complete before moving on more challenging work. So this is more on like a strategy. And then four, to develop a performance measurement system. Measurement provides accountability and a way to improve over time. And this should be reviewed periodically. Five is to monitor progress and make improvements, increase use of certified fair trade and green products and services. So with this, use performance measures to identify the weaknesses and step up efforts to develop better capabilities in the firm and its supply base. And then lastly is to expand focus to include other departments and customers, increase brand value. So use the purchasing department success and influence to grow awareness in the firm and among customers, communicate successes and programs to stakeholders. Now let's go to the supply-based rationalization program. So this includes supply-based reduction and supply-based optimization. So the benefits are the reduction of purchase prices, fewer supplier management problems, closer and more frequent collaborations between the buyer and supplier, and greater overall levels of quality and delivery reliability. Also, supplier rationalization is also known as the supply-based reduction, or the SBR. And this is the process of shrinking the supply base by reducing the number of active suppliers. So the primary agenda of supplier rationalization is to streamline the organizations, spend fewer suppliers, and drive value. Again, the primary agenda of supplier rationalization is to streamline the organizations, spend to fewer suppliers, and drive better value from those relationships. Now let's have the strategic supplier alliances. So this is a formalized type of collaborative relationship involving commitments to long-term cooperation, shared benefits and cost, joint problem solving, continuous improvement, and information sharing. And one of the way to identify strategic alliance candidates are to further develop existing alliances. So specifically, a strategic supplier alliance is a relationship marked by mechanisms for buyer-supplier collaboration to solve problems and to share the benefits that are derived from the quality or productivity gains that the joint efforts provide. So when we see outsourcing, this contributes to the growth of sales, concentrate on the business core activities. For the quantity discounts, this also adds marketing value of sustainability, the reduction of staffing levels, and reduction of management problems. So outsourcing is the business practice of hiring party outside company to perform services or create goods that were traditionally performed in-house by the company's own employees and staff. So outsourcing is a process also of that is usually undertaken by companies as a cost-cutting measure. So outsourcing is a business practice which sees companies hire other firms or individuals to execute certain tasks, manage operations, or take other or over services which are usually provided by in-house staff or were provided by them previously. So when we say insourcing, this referred to as backsourcing. And this might experience problems with unhappy with the level of innovation provided by the outsourcer, or if the supplier of if the business is unhappy with the level of innovations from the suppliers outsourced, and reduction product lead time. This also one of the benefit of insourcing, and improve customers relationship, and also enabled employees to think more like the owners. Also in insourcing, this is the assignment of a project to a person or department within a company rather than a third party. So insourcing is the exact opposite of outsourcing. And instead of giving tasks to external workers, human resources from inside the company are used. So usually when a company decides to insource certain areas of business, employees will have to train or hire. So that's insourcing. Next, we have the co-sourcing. So this is a selective sourcing, sharing of a process or function between internal staff and an external supplier. And for the firms, flexibility to decide where to outsource. And this offers long-term, or this generate long-term supplier relationship. And by definition, the term co-sourcing is a business practice where a service is performed by a staff from inside an organization and as well as by an external service provider. So co-sourcing, unlike outsourcing, doesn't involve simply handing work off to a third party, but instead co-sourcing is teaming up with the external service provider to make food and beverage purchasing operations task easier, so more efficient and cost-effective. So co-sourcing allows for a procurement specialist to harness the entire supply chain in order to meet specified needs. So, while allowing owners and operators to remain in control of the decision. Unlike in outsourcing purchasing, which can be seen as surrendering, the cost sourcing formula works in that it keeps the buying power in the hands of the owner or the operator. For the early supplier involvement, this is a decision-making capacity for purchase timing and quantities. So for the ESI, this involves the cost, the quality, and delivery timing improvements. Also, this is a form of vertical collaboration between supply chain partners in which the manufacturer involves the supplier at an early stage of the development process. It also reviews the process for working with suppliers to ensure alignment and accountability throughout the product launch and innovation processes. So for the value engineering, this is a technique with help from the supplier allows firms to design better quality and cost saving into the products from the time a product first hits the shelves. Or this is a systematic method to improve the value of goods or products or services by using an examination of function. So value as defined is the ratio of function to cost. So value can therefore be manipulated by either improving the function of reducing the cost. So that's value engineering. So for the vendor managed inventories or the VMI, this is a service or services for key customers is perhaps one of the more value enhancing activities performed by suppliers, or the new model of inventory management in the hotel industry. And also this allows their suppliers to track inventories and determine delivery schedules and other quantities, saves time. So in this model, the supplier maintains the stock in hotel as per the standard prescribed. And in the case of reopening hotels, this is the best method to be adapted as the purchasing managers are involved in several activities. So the objective of BMI is to, under this model, there is a better coordination of materials, information, and financial flows among the suppliers, the manufacturers, and the contractors. And this is also much better and enabling high supply chain efficiency. So superior, high quality products can be maintained with quick delivery and high customer service at a supplier cost. Now let's go to the reorder point. So the reorder point or the ROP is the minimum number of units that the business needs to have in stock to prevent stock outs and ensure order fulfillment. So a reorder point is the minimum amount of inventory a business should have on hand. So essentially, it is a metric that informs executives of the best time to process another supplier order, and this enhances management of stock, or this enhances stock management and prevents production bottlenecks and interactions or interruptions to the supply chain. So formula for finding the reorder point is lead time demand plus safety stocks. So the example is as follows. And in connection, when we say reorder point, this is a crucial for effective, or this is very crucial for effective inventory management because it saves holding costs and prevents stock outs, overstocking, and lost sales by ensuring that the sufficient stocks is always available in your inventory. So that is reorder point. For the reorder point computation explanation, I will post the link of the video. Of its computation. Now let's proceed to collaborative form of BMI, or what we call the co-managed inventories, wherein the buyer and supplier reach an agreement regarding the buyer's periodic demand forecast. So with CMI, or the co-managed inventory, this is a business arrangement made between the supplier and the customer. And in this case, or it is a case of collaboration between the two. So in a case of co-managed inventories, the consumable items are stored at the customer's premises, wherein co-managed inventory is similar to vendor management inventory.